Hello, world. Hi there. I'm Linden, founder and CEO of IFT. Pleasure to be with everybody today. Thanks for tuning in to our Ask Me Anything series we've been running, every couple weeks. So if you don't get a chance to catch the whole thing, we'll do the replay later, and we'll be doing it again in 2 weeks. Please click subscribe to miss it, so you don't miss an update. Really excited now that we've officially finished the first session of the initial pro announcement. Incredibly thankful for the over 100,000 users that have upgraded so far. We've had so many people show their support and sign up to join us in what we hope is just the beginning of a whole series of really dramatic improvements to our product for users to come. And that's really the whole point. The reason we did Pro in the first place, we wanted to reinvest in users and build products that directly supported the people that were creating applets for themselves, doing something above and beyond what's available out there with published applets and what the brands were doing as well. With that, I'd like to make some quick, short announcements. We'll be making some additional announcements, over email and some of our other communication channels regarding Pro. But one of the things that we learned over the course of that initial month was that there was still a whole lot of folks out there that would like to sign up to Pro, but for one reason or another, whether that was international currency issues, looking for annual or PayPal, or otherwise, we'd like to extend our initial set your own price offer for Pro to the end of October. So all the way to October 31st. So we'll give people plenty of time to consider and then upgrade so we can avoid archiving those applets that they've created over the past 10 plus years. And that's one of the things, I personally feel really happy about, to give people some additional time. Even though we've had so many people upgrade already, it personally pains me to have to archive things or turn things off. So we want to make it as easy as possible and give people every opportunity to upgrade if they're interested in doing so. With that, we also like to announce, we initially launched thinking that, the set your own price opportunity would really help us calibrate, what is the value that we're providing, what's our aspirational target, what do users think it should be, and really kind of acknowledging, just these difficult times worldwide with COVID and so much uncertainty out there. Wanted to make sure we were as flexible as possible. And so with that, I think we've learned enough and gotten enough feedback from folks to confidently say that after that set your own price period ends, which we've now extended to October 31st, the kind of singular base price for Pro going forward will be $3.99 per month. And we want to add additional options for people to pay annually, potentially with a discount for paying annually. And even we're beginning to consider things like one-time payments. There's a number of people out there that really want to avoid any type of subscription if possible, but are willing to pay kind of a lump sum up front. And that's something we're considering as well. So if you've set your own price and you've set a price above $3.99, we'd love for you to stay there. But if you want to get back down to that base price, we'll also have some options there. We certainly don't want to lock people in a way that's unfair. So again, extremely appreciative of everybody's support. The over 100,000 users that have upgraded so far. We're sincerely doing this for you. And we've got a very exciting roadmap of fixes and features and changes that are directly aimed at Pro users. And we'll be listening and tuning that roadmap based on your feedback pretty much daily from here going forward. So with that, would love to jump in to start answering some questions. If you've got questions, Annybot, your question was, what can you ask? Anything. This isn't Ask Me Anything. So it, obviously can be about IFT, but it can be about just about anything you'd like to ask. So from there, we'll start with Michael. Yes, how can we have 2 likes and 1 dislike before the session starts? That's a good question. I think YouTube streams allow people to like and dislike even before we start. So I'm just now warming up and figuring out YouTube streaming about my 4th or 5th time in. Anybody's asking, what does it mean to set your own price? So, we've probably sent you a couple emails about this already. But in case you haven't seen it, we launched Pro a month ago now, and Pro was a new paid plan specifically for individual users. And instead of launching with an initial base price, we actually launched with the ability for users to pick their own price with anywhere from a $199 per month minimum. I think we even go all the way up to $99 a month for folks that are feeling especially generous. We've learned a whole lot from that, and that's one of the data points that we considered as we work through actually what should that base price be as we exit the set your own price period. And what we came out of it with was $399 was kind of the right balance of value and what people were willing to pay. So we learned a whole lot, and appreciate people that have paid even more than that base price. David is asking what progress has been made with the ability to publish applets for Pro users. So unfortunately, since we've launched Pro, I'm sorry to say we've made very little progress there, but it is something that is on our roadmap. You can still publish applets, and I can send you the link. It's you got to go to the platform. You've got to find your personal applet section. Frankly, one of the things we tried to solve along with Pro was actually combining the 2 different websites that we had, if.com and platform.if.com, really into just one website. We still have some separation there. The domains are still different, but we're a hell of a lot closer to combining those than we were in the past. And one of the reasons we wanted to combine those were so many of the powerful kind of applet publishing tools had been built over the years specifically for the brands and services on the platform. And we want to bring those same tools over to users to allow them to publish regular applets using Pro features as well. So you can still access those tools as they exist today in the platform, but on our roadmap, hopefully here in the next month or 2, we'll be actually making that kind of a proper integration back with the main user experience of if.com, so people can very easily find a publish button and an experience built just for users looking to publish applets. So we still have a lot of work to do there, and we haven't made a lot of progress yet. We've largely prioritized either fixing bugs or working through kind of payment problems or different payment options, along with a whole host of other things. But it's right there at the top of the roadmap, along with things like multiple accounts per user, the ability to edit and get a whole lot more information about your Pro applet features after you create them, and things like the activity log. And we just have, I think we have a laundry list of 300 open issues that we'd still like to get to, just specifically around the new stuff that we launched with Pro. So the team is working their butts off as always, but the publishing stuff is coming soon. The Gaming Lightning, cool username. When will it be possible to link multiple accounts to IFT, like 2 YouTube accounts or something? I can't make promises. I don't want to speak for our product leaders and engineering leaders. That's something that I would love to see before the end of the year. And it will almost certainly be a part of what we offer with Pro. So if that's something you're interested in, I'd encourage you to sign up now to kind of lock in your own, set your own price that we've said we want to honor forever. And hopefully we get to that multiple account stuff later this year. In the meantime, what we've seen people do over the last 5-6 years to solve that problem is actually have multiple IFT accounts. Certainly not something we like to see, but it's okay. It's a workaround, and we want to make it a lot easier for people to be able to manage it all in one place, and really have as many service accounts attached to the same individual IFT account as reasonably possible. So that's coming, and it's also right there with the publishing applet stuff at the top of our list of things to build. Let's see. Yogith, I recognize you from other sessions. Welcome back. Yes, lots of books. In fact, I haven't done this on the Ask Me Anything, but that's only one of 2 book stacks there. And most of my books now are in storage because I have sent them all to the IFT office. You know, I'm a big reader, all kinds of things, comic books, graphic design, sci-fi, nonfiction, historical stuff. I love it all. So one of our values at IFT is always learning. And I think, you know, reading and learning new things really is kind of the secret to life. As long as you're learning and getting better, then, you know, things are always going to be better. Let's see. Jim T is asking, hey, you're not an applet creator. Do I need Pro? So Pro is really for people looking to create applets that are very kind of custom to their setup. Also looking to create applets that can do things above and beyond the basic if this then that applet. So, you know, the quick rundown of the things you get with Pro, you get access to additional features to create more powerful applets. So things like queries, which allow you to kind of pull data in from other services between the trigger and the action. You can use multiple queries. You can use multiple actions. In fact, one of the things that we heard since the Pro launch was the ability to use multiples of the same action in an applet. And I think that's going live here just in a matter of days. The team's been hard at work on that. And then also we have something we call filter. The implementation of it right now is still code-based. We're also working on designs for making that something that's kind of WYSIWYG UI based, so you don't have to know how to write JavaScript, but the filter allows you to actually kind of conditionally run things. You know, one of the things we heard since the the first day that we launched IFT was the desire to do kind of conditional, if this and this, then do these 3 or 4 things, and filter plus queries and multiple actions really now make that possible. Beyond kind of the applet creation tools, you get faster running applets. So both the polling applets and real-time applets for pros run much faster. You get dedicated support. We're actually hiring now on the community support side of things. They've done a heroic job answering what is really kind of overwhelming. We planned for this, but you know, I think even in our wildest dreams, we didn't anticipate the amount of inquiries and the time it takes to really get back to those folks in a useful way. And so we're looking to hire and build there. So, you know, kind of proof that we're investing back in the community. We want to get any of that community support response time down under 24 hours, even less. And right now it's extended past that, sometimes 48 or more hours, and we're doing our best to kind of swarm on that problem. And additionally, there's some other kind of small things that we're including with Pro as we kind of continually build there. We're extending the kind of daily rate limits that have been set on some of the social services. So for instance, free users can post 25 tweets per day on Twitter. And if you upgrade to Pro, we double that to 50. And we're working to do similar things for services like Blogger or Tumblr. And largely those limits are in place to really help those services combat things like spam or use cases that really don't serve the greater purpose of those services. But if people are willing to pay for Pro and willing to kind of play by the rules that those services have put forth in terms of the proper use of their platforms, we're more than willing to allow them to post a bit more. So that's something that actually we just made available, at least on the Twitter side, earlier this week. And we'll be adding more things to it. So things like multiple accounts. So yeah, sorry, Jen, long answer to that question. but there's a lot there. So if you don't want to upgrade, if you don't think those things are valuable, free in our kind of free forever plan is still incredibly important. For us, we always thought that IFT and a free plan was where the vast majority of users were going to land in terms of their usage of IFT, and how that relates to our other revenue streams, our other businesses on the brand side is we really want to make sure we're not double dipping. We're basically charging brands to do things like build their service on IFT, publish their own kind of, best of breed applets, and actually bring those applets and some of those integrations into their own user experiences, just like a native integration. And those things, those are the things that are really valuable for brands. And so we want to charge them for that a reasonable price. But the vast majority of the users that do those things are very likely to still be free users. So there should still be plenty of value and lots of reasons to be an IFT user for free. The Gaming Lightning is asking, actually, you're helping answer that question. Thank you. Thank you. Antibot, can we use old IFT? I don't know what old IFT is. Would love some clarity on that. So IFT has evolved quite a bit over the years. I think, anything that's been around for 10 years on the internet is going to change. And I think IFT has changed quite a bit. We've done some good things. Shoot, we've made a lot of mistakes too. At one point we had 4 different iOS and Android apps. We now only have 1 for each platform. We used to call what we call applets today. We called them statements, then we called them tasks, then we called them recipes, and now we call them applets. So there's been lots of changes just in the names themselves. But all, I think with the intention of making things more useful, easier to understand, and really, making IFT and this idea of getting your services working together something everybody can do, whether you're technical or not. And I think we made great strides there. And just the sheer volume of users, we're at 23 million users on the platform today, over 100,000 pros already in the first month, really kind of speaks to that. We want to build something that everybody can use, not just power users, not just the, super nerds like me in your life. So, yep, Gaming Lightning, lots of books. Twilight Linkable, also a cool username. Is there a spot on the site where I can see what I can do with webhooks? We have, so if you go to just we call it the Maker webhook service, if you just kind of search that on Google, IFT Maker webhook, you should go to the service page. What you'll see there is, some basic info on how to actually get started with the webhook service. One of the things that we don't allow today is the ability to publish a webhook applet. And the real reason there is we really wanted to incentivize brands to have a proper service on IFT and not just kind of hack an integration with the webhook service, which you can really do quite powerful things with webhooks. So that's one of those intentions, but it's not something that we think is set in stone. So because of that, you actually can't see a whole lot of examples of what other people are doing with webhook service on IFT. So what I'd encourage you to do is either check out things like Reddit or YouTube, or really just kind of searching around the internet. There's been, I think, hundreds, if not thousands of posts of examples of things that people have built, some of them actually really cool, really clever with webhooks. And to give you a quick rundown of what webhooks are basically the ability to plug in your own custom API, and you can have triggers or actions. And we're very close to releasing the ability to have your own kind of custom query as well. So you can actually plug in your own API at any point with those kind of basic elements that make up an applet without having to rely on that API being something provided by another service. So really kind of the sky's the limit. It's really just dependent on what your API does. And webhook should be able to support it. Gaming Lightning is asking, what ended up happening with the Reddit account ban problem? Yeah, frankly, I think that caught everybody by surprise, caught IFT, caught obviously Reddit users, I think it kind of also caught Reddit by surprise. So we were able to work with them. We have great relationship with Reddit themselves. And it feels like, and I wasn't the one directly involved in some of those conversations, so I take everything I say with a grain of salt. But it feels like there was some kind of algorithmic kind of things happening on the Reddit back end that we're looking for different types of user behavior that may or may not be what Reddit likes to see on their platform, or may be against their policy. And somehow IF got lumped in with that. And the vast majority of what people are doing with IFT and Reddit is really just finding ways to get notifications about different posts on the different subreddits that they follow. So in a lot of ways, that's really useful both for users and for Reddit. It drives people back to Reddit because they're getting notified about new posts in a subreddit. So we've been able to, that's all should be fixed. Any of the accounts that were banned should be unbanned. And I think Reddit worked really quickly, I think within 24 hours of finding that issue to get that fixed. So hopefully that wasn't too painful for a lot of folks. I know it can be very surprising to have your account suspended or banned. It feels like you're almost, breaking the law or something. But in this case, I think it was just a mistake. Yogith is asking, does IFT use AWS, Google Cloud, or our own servers? So we're primarily, if not exclusively, AWS. We might use a couple things like Linode or others for services that need to have IPs outside of the AWS kind of available. I'm going to forget what they call them now, not domains, but availability zones. So AWS, we've been there for almost 7 or 8 years now. We actually started out when we were just kind of a 1 or 2 person startup. We started out, actually using some of our own servers, not our own physical hardware, but there was a whole lot more work involved. I think we were on a service called Engine Yard at the time. And so we were kind of standing up a lot of our own infrastructure. And we've been around so long that actually we've kind of grown up with AWS. We switched from Engine Yard to AWS in the very early days of AWS, and have been pretty darn satisfied. They seem to be kind of at the leading edge of making new types of services available and taking different technologies, whether it's MySQL or some of the enqueuing technologies, and kind of creating their own spin on it. So there's obviously some lock-in involved there. It makes it harder and harder for anybody to go from AWS to somewhere else once you start adopting those technologies. But it's really helped us scale. And I think, without a service like AWS or Google Cloud, and I know there's so many other competing alternatives now, without services like those, a startup like IFT, frankly, would just be impossible. We'd have to have hundreds of employees, thousands of employees, and spend a whole lot more money to maintain what we do. So we've been very thankful for that. Twilight Linkable is asking, speaking of YouTube and webhooks, if I were to go live, can I have a webhook post to my Twitter? Yes. I don't believe we have a YouTube like streaming go live trigger. If we did have that, and we might, so don't quote me on that. I haven't looked at what's available on the YouTube service for a few months now. If we did, you wouldn't even need to use webhooks. But if we don't, a temporary workaround until we make a trigger like that available would be to actually, plug into the YouTube API, access some of the endpoints they have around when you go live, and then use a webhook to trigger IFT and post to Twitter. So that would be a totally valid use case. So Royal, I'm mispronouncing your name, Raul. Please, I apologize. Notice that SMS connection is no longer available. Will it be made available again for those pro members? That's really, SMS is still available. With SMS, it was one of the things, frankly, in the very early days of IFT, SMS was very powerful. This was, we actually launched IFT kind of right as the iPhone was initially launching or gaining traction, maybe a year or two after the initial iPhone. So the idea of like push notifications was really still in its infancy. So SMS was, all the rage. And we quickly found that the cost of SMS was really crippling. And we put some limits in place to kind of limit how many SMSs were sent, and even limit, where SMS is available. Frankly, in some countries, it's exorbitantly expensive to send an SMS message through the different networks. It's all really kind of country and network dependent. So we've had to make some hard choices there. It is still available in most countries, and I don't have the list, offhand where it is or isn't available. But if you just search IFT SMS, you can find the service. You may or may not be able to connect it depending on your phone number and which country and which provider you have. But give that a look, and it should work for the vast majority of people still. And it's a great thing for us to consider actually lumping in with Pro, because pros are now paying customers. It actually now makes a lot more sense from a business standpoint to make SMS something that is part of that package, because pros are paying us. So I think that's another good reason for us to consider that, and is exactly why we're launching Pro. So we don't have to make those types of limitations if folks are willing to sign up and pay. Anybot, where's archive management? Yes, frankly, I am, to be real honest, I'm embarrassed that we haven't launched that yet. It should be going out today and tomorrow at the latest. It was ready earlier this week. One of the reasons we didn't make it available was, one, it was clear that we were going to need to extend this set your own price period, partly because we didn't have archive management available, but because there were some other kind of payment issues. We wanted to make sure everybody that wanted to sign up had a chance to. And also because in the last couple of days, we've just had tremendous traffic, folks coming back to sign up before the end of the period. And so we didn't want to jeopardize that by doing too many deploys or changing too many things, since it was largely working. So that should go out here shortly. And it may already be out already. I haven't checked our deploys Slack channel today. And it's going to be out on the web first, and then it'll be coming to the mobile apps probably in the next week or two. Since we have some more time, and we're not archiving applets right out of the gate, we're waiting until November 1st to start doing that. Hopefully that gives people a little bit more time to make some decisions. And you can still archive your applets today, even without the archive management area, just by going into each applet settings. It's a little cumbersome, and you can't see a whole list yet, but all those things should be available very shortly. And like I said, I'm embarrassed we didn't get that out there in time for folks, and I apologize, but it's there either now or very shortly. So thank you for your patience, and we again apologize for not having that available. Yogith, IFT is the only company who's having a relationship with lots of companies. That's awesome. Well, thanks, but I would actually politely disagree. In fact, there's a whole lot of other companies, whether they're kind of working in the integration or low code, no code, or automation space or not, that actually have to have a lot of relationships with other companies as well. We think we're one of the only companies that does that in a very neutral way. But when you think about companies, whether it's companies like Slack that have their own developer platform, or even think about a company like Apple that has the App Store and multiple different types of platforms that developers develop on. So they have hundreds of thousands of relationships with other companies. And part of our business, on the brand and service side, is really meant to help solve that problem. If you think of it as an ecosystem rather than just a platform or relationship, ecosystems are actually one of the best tools to build monopolies. If you think all the way back to Windows, which was really kind of the first and I think one of the most successful software development platforms of all times, there's a whole lot of positives that come with that, but there's also a lot of negatives. It makes it much harder for other people to start businesses, whether they're competitive or not, because so many businesses are so reliant on the ability to have all those relationships. And so part of what IF does for brands is actually really step in as a valid substitute for those brands having to build their own developer platform and build their own ecosystem. And my hope is not only does that enable large enterprises to go digital and build ecosystems around products that they're producing without all that overhead, but it also helps create a new really kind of type of startup. Startups with 1, 2, 3, 4 people, in the proverbial garage that are able to build something because they can access an ecosystem on day one, like IFT. And I think that's a big part of our mission, is to help create new types of companies that wouldn't have been possible without an ecosystem like IFT at their fingertips. Let's see, Leonce is asking, will it be possible to trigger actions based on multiple events? So the way that the queries work, so if you upgrade to Pro, you gain access to queries. Really think of queries as kind of like another way to get access to an event. What makes having multiple triggers in a single applet kind of tricky is triggers are sequential events. Somebody is ringing your doorbell at 12:02 p.m. And then someone's ringing it again at 1:05 p.m. Those things happen in series. So to have 2 trigger events, it kind of isn't logical to think of it as those 2 things happening at the same time. But what queries do is you basically choose a trigger first. So there's some initial event, someone rings your doorbell, and then a query allows you to go get additional data. Are you home or are you outside of home? Is your door locked or unlocked? What's the last event on your Google Calendar? And is that event, something that's at a location outside of where you currently live or something like that? So you can kind of bring in additional event-based data, and then with filter, you can make decisions on which actions that you run. So you can effectively do what I think you're asking is use queries to bring in additional data when that trigger event happens, to then run different actions based on what you see from the trigger and the queries. Twilight Linkable, you're asking about the less limitations for Pro users on SMS features. Yes, I see no reason why we can't begin to extend some of the capabilities of SMS for pros. Would love some very specific feedback if you had it around what limitations you'd like to see change for pros, and we'll get cracking on it and take a look. Rial is asking, there is no SMS service the way it was, and you're in the US. I am, I'd love to see what the way it was meant. I'm looking at the SMS service page right now, and I'm in the US. I'm also connected to it. You'll have to share some more details around what you see. If you just go to if.com/SMS, you should see something. If you don't, then please let me know on Twitter. I'm at LTibbets on Twitter. Yeah, Quentin says you have several apps that utilize the iPhone's battery. Why doesn't IFT have a service for it yet? Frankly, maybe this has changed. The last time we did research on this was probably a couple of years ago. At that time, apps couldn't access information about the user's battery. I think they could maybe access, whether or not the phone was in power saving mode or not, but perhaps that's changed. And if it has, yes, that's a really powerful tool. And, it's been available through IFT on Android for years now. I think we've probably seen millions of applets created just around Android battery life. So if that is available on iPhone, would love to include that as well. Can see all kinds of great use cases there, but we're really kind of limited by what's made available through the iOS development platform. And we want to follow the rules. So I'm sure there might be apps out there that have figured out some way to get around those rules or access that information through means that maybe Apple doesn't quite approve of. But we want to try to respect that. But if it's available, we want to do it. So it's a good reminder for us to take another look. I'll let our team know later today to check into it. Raul is asking, the LG connection washer dryer has never worked. If you're a pro, please send another ticket and we'll have somebody take a look manually. I'll let our team know there. Some of those services from LG, we've had a little bit of ups and downs in terms of the availability of the APIs. But my understanding is that they should all be working. I think we have tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of users that have connected the washer dryer specifically. So it should work. And if it's not, we're happy to help troubleshoot. And if you're not a pro, ping me on Twitter and I'll take a look personally. So I want to make sure that's working. And if there's a problem there, we'll work with LG to fix it. Yogith is asking, what project management tools if use internally other than GitHub? So let's see. We use Slack. We use kind of the Google apps or Google Workplaces, I think maybe what they call it now, for things like calendar and email. We use Jira pretty extensively. I'm personally now a big fan of the redesign. Jira has the reputation of being overly complex, but I think they're definitely making big improvements there. I'm trying to think about other one-off tools. We're kind of like so many businesses now that are fully remote. We use a combination of Zoom and Google Hangouts, and sometimes we use Microsoft Teams meetings. So we kind of use all kinds of different ways to have video meetings. Beyond that, I'll have to think through it. And if you're really interested about some of the more esoteric or smaller tools that we use, hit me up on Twitter and I'll try to send you a full list. The Gaming Lightning, where can I find the best resources for everything I can do with filter code? Actually, for that one, again, hit me up on Twitter, or maybe even Peter can post some links here in the YouTube chat. So we have a number of different videos that are being created by folks in the community that highlight what you can do with filter. We've also created some of those internally. Jeff, our product leader, has created a great video really kind of highlighting all of the features around creating applets with a pro account. And hopefully there's a whole lot more coming from us. One of the things that we're actively working on is updating things like documentation, not just for brands and services, but also for users, and hopefully kind of demystifying all the things that are available with filter, because it's actually incredibly powerful, but frankly, it's still a little bit tricky to use. Even if you can write JavaScript code, it's not super clear what are all the things that are available. So we have some work to do there to make that easier to understand for folks. And we're really thankful for everybody that's created a video or a post on their own to help explain it. So we'll send you some links. So if you've got additional questions, keep them coming. Happy to answer anything. These are great questions so far. Really appreciate everybody tuning in. And if you don't have any additional questions, I'll see you next time. But if you've got some, go ahead and shoot. But I think we might have hit the limit. Yeah, David. Hi there again. Really appreciate all your help and feedback. Glad we've been able to solve some of your problems. You're asking, is there any timeline on when we'll be able to have delays in applets? I leave my house, wait 5 minutes, then enable an alarm. That is on the roadmap. We're not quite sure how we want to pull that off just yet. We're trying to figure out what the best way to do that is. Again, that's something that we should be able to follow through with fairly quickly, but dependent on where that fits. Things like multiple accounts, making sure people can kind of fully edit their applets after they create them with all the features that are available when you initially create them. Those are probably right ahead of that. But it is something that's on our list. And if I can find some ways to do a workaround temporarily, maybe using webhooks or something else, I will certainly let you know. So hit me up on Twitter, and I'll create a to-do item to look into that a little bit deeper, see if there's a workaround that can maybe hold you over until it's available officially. The Gaming Lightning, yes, you're right. We now have well over 100,000. I think we're racing towards 200,000 now signed up pro users. So that kind of has blown away our expectations. Again, for pro, our goal isn't to turn all of our users into paying customers as much as the users that really want more from IFT from a user standpoint, that don't just want to use applets that are available through published applets, that really want to do something above and beyond what's available today. That's what Pro is all about. And that's going to fund both an investment in pros for more of these features, things that people are asking for, and additional things that will also cross over for free users as well. We want to continue investing in both pros and people that are using IFT for free, specifically in a way that allows us to think of them in isolation from what the brands and services want. And I think it goes back to this idea of being neutral, really trying to make sure we're keeping the best interest of both end users and brands in mind simultaneously. And one of the easiest ways to do that is to make as many of those people as possible customers, because that's the clearest feedback. When you vote with dollars, companies pay attention. So hopefully we continue to prove that by delivering things that people are asking for as quickly as possible. So let's see, Luke, any idea how to get Android to update the battery on IFT? I'm not sure, update the battery. I'm not sure if I understand that. If you're asking about, the second part of your question is you'd like to trigger things based on upper and lower percent. If you're asking about the percentage of your battery, so like when the battery drops below a certain percent, I believe that's how the triggers work today. I think we have something that's like you put in a custom percentage and we trigger when that happens. I'm not crystal clear on that, but I'm pretty sure that already happens. If it doesn't, one of the things that is either already available or should be available shortly, because I can see how powerful it is the ability to tap into a Android battery query, which essentially just returns the current status of your Android battery, and then you can do different things based on that. So hit me up on Twitter if you do some research. Just look up, on Google search IFT Android battery or IFT Android. And you should find either the Android service or the battery service. And let me know if you see some applets or triggers that are available that do that. And if not, let me know what you'd like to see different. Regina Moran, I'm the worst pronunciator of all time, and I apologize. .com, I can pronounce that. We conversed on Twitter. I hope you got my email. Cheers. Any progress on the payment issues? So, part of the payment stuff, it kind of, like I say, it takes two to tango. Could be issues on our end, but what we're seeing now is we feel like we've kind of rooted out and solved any of the payment issues on our end. There could be some payment issues on your end. So your bank either declining it or, for whatever reason, and there's all kinds of reasons that are totally fine. Nothing wrong with your account overall. But if you're still having problems there, either hit me up on Twitter, or if I haven't already, I'll share with you my email and I'll get you connected with someone on our team. And it's issues exactly like yours that really made us feel confident in extending this set your own price period, because we just found that there was enough people out there that wanted to upgrade, but for whatever reason, they couldn't. And so we'd love to try to solve those issues, especially if it's something we can solve on our side. But again, it feels like we've solved a whole lot of those issues, and it might be something that we might need to figure out on your own account side. But that's all speculation. We're going to solve this, so please reach out, and we're happy to help. All right, just a few minutes remaining. If anybody has any kind of last questions, happy to answer those. And again, if you think of a question or if you missed this session and you're tuning in afterwards, I'm always available on Twitter. I try to run through once or twice a day and just hit everybody. I want to try to respond to all the legitimate questions or people that are having problems with one thing or another. I'm at LTibbets on Twitter. So please hit me up there if you don't have a question now. Yeah, Peter answered that question. It's 11 a.m. Hugh, yes, happy to answer tweets. I am probably the furthest thing from an internet social media star you're going to find. It's one of the things that I've really kind of beat myself up over the years on. I see so many other people doing such a great job of representing their company or whatever it is they're doing on social media. And frankly, I kind of suck at it. But what I can do is I can respond to people and be as open and transparent about what we're doing and why as possible. And that seems to work. We did that from the very first day we launched IFT. And in fact, we actually used to respond to every single customer support request before that got overwhelming. And again, it's one of the things I'm excited to offer with Pro. So, just being open and being communicative is a great way to get feedback and build trust. So we're hopefully never going to stop doing that, or we'll find ways to do something like that, even if it gets too overwhelming. So I appreciate it, Hugh. David, as a follow-up to your question about publishing, you'd previously sent a link on Twitter. Yes, you're asking about publishing. Yes, like I said, there is a link out there. You can find it, and it's really hard to find. Frankly, some of that's kind of on purpose because the tools there for publishing applets actually aren't updated with a lot of those pro features yet. That's something on our roadmap. It's one of the reasons we haven't made that super easy to find, but it's still available. It's because we want to make sure all the things you can do with a pro account, you can also create a publishable applet with those same features. So that once we have that in place, which is hopefully just a matter of 1 or 2 months out, we want to make that available, and you shouldn't even have to ask us for it. It should be just so obvious that anybody can find it on their own. So we're working on it, David. Thanks for your patience. Adrian, you're sad you didn't get hired by IFT. I think we're sad too, but we are starting to kind of actively hire. Again, I mentioned we're hiring on the community support side, and we should, on the strength of Response to Pro, be investing not only just in new products and features, but actually growing our team to support this new business. So as we have some of those postings available on our jobs page, go ahead and apply. We'd love to hear from you. Anybody, it's 11:30 p.m. there. Well, thank you for tuning in so late at night. I appreciate it. David, you said something about the follow-up around publishing. Hopefully I answered your question. If not, we can take it to Twitter again, and we'll make sure and get back to you, and we can figure it all out. Yogith, you're asking any plans of launching IFT Pro on Product Hunt? And what do I think about launching on Product Hunt and Hacker News? Actually, IFT Pro is on Product Hunt. So we've launched probably 5 or 6 different new things on Product Hunt. I've met Ryan Hoover a couple of times, the CEO over there. They built a really awesome service, great community. We may not be super proficient. Like I said, I'm pretty terrible at social media in general. A little bit of a dinosaur in that way. So we might have done it wrong, but if you can find us on Product Hunt and recommend how we should promote it or what we should be doing different, we're all ears. And I'm all for launching on Product Hunt. And if you can get, kind of a legit post on Hacker News as well, those are just great ways to initially seed a new startup or a new project. As we've grown and have become kind of a mid-stage, or in some ways maybe even a very old startup, those services like Product Hunt and Hacker News aren't quite as valuable because we have an established audience and we can communicate directly with them when we do something new. Adrian, sound like you did interview with us. Cool, thank you. And you had an exercise, but the website wasn't allowing you to go through the last step. Apologies, if that was on us or there was some kind of bug in our process, we apologize. I don't know exactly what position or what process we had in place when you applied, but we're always happy to hear from you again, and I appreciate the good vibes. We are always so thankful that we've been able to hire just really great, well-meaning, and very talented people over the years. And that's not an easy thing to do as an early stage startup that's 10 years old in the Bay Area. There's a lot of competition and a lot of options for talented folks here in this area. And now that we're full remote, I think that will allow us to kind of expand out and interview people all across the globe, hopefully. Anybot, love from India. Thank you. Love from San Francisco. I'd love to make it to India sometime. I haven't been there, and it looks so awesome. It's such a massive place. So thank you for tuning in. Oh wait, Anybot says archive management has launched. Great. Thank you. It's just news to me. I knew that was going out shortly, but would love to hear any feedback on it. It's really kind of the initial stab at archive management. And I think we even have some work to do to make sure we're representing every possible thing that can be archived. But, in keeping with trying to get, the MVP, quote unquote, out there as soon as possible. This represents that. And we're always open for feedback on how we can make it better. Thanks for reporting back, Annie. All right. I think that's all we have time for today. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Again, if you have questions, hit me up on Twitter. I'm at LTibbets, and we'll be doing this, every couple of weeks, or maybe we'll go to every month, but really on a regular basis. We've found this so valuable just to hear from people directly. Hopefully others have found it valuable as well. Thank you for your time and all the great questions. Cheers, everybody. Have a great day.